Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kyoto Talkshow Hotel, your favorite Kagurabachi podcast. I am Bingle, your usual host, and with me is, of course, my co-host Leah.
Hello.
So, 126 has finally dropped, and with that, the hiatus has finally ended. And so, here we are. Uh, there's a lot to talk about. We did not talk about 120. Did I say 125? Well, we didn't. 126 ended the hiatus. We have not talked much about 125. And obviously, we didn't we will be talking about both, but the focus for today will be primarily chapter 126 and Kunishige's backstory because oh my gosh, there was a lot here.
I think this is like the chapter that takes um takes the whole family, the whole Okuhira Soga family, and it kind of just gives us a little bit of a hint where things are going or how things are gonna end and how they're gonna look for Shihiro. Um, let's go in order. Let's I kind of have like the feeling back when in 113 when we get the acknowledgement that Kinishiga was in like an abusive apprenticeship, and we get to see that he's like all bloody and stuff, and it was like, okay, this guy is neglected, this guy's an orphan, um this guy doesn't have parents. And I specifically was thinking to myself, like, okay, this guy doesn't have like an actual good paternal figure. And oh my god, was I right? I was not thinking he would be taking it to like such length. Really, I was
Yeah.
not expecting his dad to be like this at all, like a whole like abusive dad. The swordsmith part was like, okay, that makes sense because a guy that has like such a problem with the way weapons are made and distributed and sold, obviously, why would you still be doing swords? It's like, okay, this makes sense. It was like ingrained in him. Like this was his whole thing, because his dad was like, okay, you're gonna be such a good swordsman. And it is only actually when his dad is a swordsmith, when his father is like not abusive. Like when he's forging and he's not drinking alcohol and it's not being abusive. So I think it kind of just makes sense how attached to it because swordsmithing is not only the thing he has, it's like a good memory he has. It's like a happy memory of a happy family that he had. And we had to have an uncomfortable conversation about the mom. But you can continue about the dad. Bingo, if you want,
Yeah.
before we jump into
Yeah.
the
Um
big mother elephant.
Hokuzono's pattern with mothers aside, the father is this is the first time that alcohol has really appeared in the story. Now, like,
Yeah.
obviously, this isn't the first allusion or reference to alcohol. I mean, we have the Kumayori-shaped elephant in the room for that, but I will say that this is, like, the most realistic, most, like, personal story that he has written, and Hokuzono really writes like someone took everything from him, like his father specifically took everything from him, which is really confusing and sad to say because he has a pretty good relationship with both of his parents. I mean, he grew up in a household that loved Naruto, and his parents continually believe in his dream. So, like, why is this the case? Is uh why is he so good at writing abusive fathers and like just not good fathers? But that aside, I think you were right, and you were kind of on the right track with, the whole Kunishige associates swordsmithing with, like, safety and happiness, because that's when his father didn't beat him. Another thing that I noted was that Kunishige's eyes being redder does actually have a scientific basis for his eyes being better suited for fire, as, that's how light works,
Okay. Mhm.
and I think that it's honestly it explains a lot. It also really makes you wonder, like, is his desire to make the perfect sword his desire or his father's?
Mhm.
But
Yes.
I think that's, like, all I can really say about Kunishige's dad for now. I the Rokuhira family has a lot of eye symbolism as well, and so, obviously, when you get into the mother, her being mostly blind kind of has its own implications,
Mhm.
and I do wonder if Hokusono is ever going to, like, discuss how these genetic traits came to be, because this is now that it's, like, been, what, triple confirmed that the Rokuhira eyes are a genetic trait and not sorcery. Hmm, hmm. Really makes you wonder, where
Hmm.
do all these genetic traits come from?
Makes you wonder. The
Yeah.
real the real, like, figure here is the mother, and I have a lot to say that is positive about her. I have a lot of negative things to say about her. And I also have to say that Sigmund Freud would have loved
Freud.
reading Kawarabashi Weekly.
Sigmund Freud would have had the time of his life reading this manga, bro.
Yep, yep. Because I think that Hakasuna does something here that is war praise. Well, no, I'm not going to say war praising. I'm going to say that is a bare minimum, and that is giving mother the certain stage in this occasion. Majority of the characters have like a deep relationship with the fathers, or where rather Hogasono decides to just not give them a lot of thought and just decides to jump straight into the father and just make a multi extension, the extension for the father. I have always said, and I repeat it once again, before the sins of the fathers exist, is the sins of the husband. Before the sins of the father listen to the children, before the sins of the man ends up being the children's, is the mother's first. And again, this pushes that belief. I feel extremely glad that he portrayed the fact how mothers being abused, how the abuser becomes the abuser, and specifically in this case, because it's like super realistic. Like he loved Ikunishiga. Like she loved Ikunishiga. Like you cannot deny that she loved that kid. But because of her own abuse, she just couldn't separate her child from her abusive husband. And that is a lot to take. That for a child, it is a lot to take. That the figure of abuse, of hatred, that is like was your happy place simultaneously was also the cause of your suffering is now being transmitted to you. It's a lot to take, especially for a child. Like it makes sense, but Kunichi is like kind of like emotionally stuck into an age because he kind of just like was Chihiro in one, at one point with his mom. Like he like the relationship between his mom and Kunishige is not the same as Chihiro and Kunishige, but it's kind of like the child kind of just like taking some sort of burden emotionally for a very depressed parent. And it's kind of sad that he broke the cycle of abuse and perpetuated another cycle. But it's like, why did she have to kill herself? You know?
I think it's because
Because
she viewed herself as a threat to Kunishige's life and
no,
understood that she can't do much.
yeah, I get it. Like I understand the why, you know? I understand the fact that here is the very it's like the very realistic, ugly portrayal of motherhood, you know?
Yeah.
Because you love your child, but you are seeing that child as a threat to you, but you're also a threat to him. And all of that makes it to the very obvious depression, like obviously causes that. But at the same time, I just can like just can't help myself but think about the other abused woman that ended up being healing herself. And then I think about the fact that Hakuri gets a chance, you know?
Yeah.
If my grips on the very repetitive formula that he has here, like I understand what. Like the thing is like I understand why he does it, why he took that decision. Doesn't it right that is like a very repeated formula. Like those things can quick fit. And they quick fit that they think about nuance and analysis and critiquing things. Like you can understand why an author did this, why an author thought about this plot line, but also not separating it from the fact that it's repetitive and that I think that abused women deserve to have stories of survival. But I do wonder if this is like going to let us into Chiaki, really. If this is like the point of connection we are going to. Is Kunishige having flashbacks of his own mom, of he himself, when he sees Chiaki in a postpartum, um, the country healing from a war, and the fact that he was the one that made those weapons, and who knows what the hell was Kunishige doing on those moments when Chiaki was pregnant and dealing with these vivid dreams. I think this is like kind of groundwork for Chiaki as well. So like I'm not going to say, okay, this sucks, this is bad. But yeah, I have my grips. I have my grips with it, like with a lot of Hokazuno's writing, and I do hope that the fact that he made a mother that was abused and became abuser, is kind of like the pathway for us to have more conversation about motherhood in the story.
Yeah. I think you are kind of glossing over the fact that this was 3 years of Kunishige's life with his mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it is
I
kinda
know
jumped
that.
around, but it is 3 years of her, again, not being able to do any work because she's disabled.
No, isn't the 3 years like after she died?
No, 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 she died 3 years following the death of Kunishige's father. So,
Did it?
Kunishige's father died on his 9th birthday. Oh, wait, no.
No, I think it was the same year.
Hmm.
The 3 years is like when he's 12, he's living alone. This is where Chiaki comes.
Oh, okay, no. I guess
Let me
I
check
guess
because
I read that.
one of us can be wrong here.
No, I think he's talking about, like, no, I think he's saying that he was 12 the summer that his mom died.
Let me check. Mm, I think it's kind of like,
It's
I
hard to
think it's like
tell.
kind of, okay, he looks 9 on the flashback, I think.
Okay, yeah. He does look, it does look like he was 9 when his mom died. I
I
was gonna
think
say,
that the
it
way
makes a
he's
lot
playing
more
is like
sense if it
confusing.
was 3 years of this and then his mom took her life, but yeah,
I think
she
it's kind of, okay, let's assume he was 12. Okay, let's assume he was like 3 years up. It was 3 years of that.
yeah, like, to be in that position where you're basically a burden on your son because you can't provide for him, and you're constantly, and this is her perspective, obviously, so she's gonna be biased. I'm not saying this as my personal feelings, but from her perspective, she is a burden on her son who needs to be provided for and taken care of. She is constantly being she constantly has to drink herself to feel remotely normal after the, well, basically lifetime of abuse she probably endured from Kunishige's dad, and every time she's drunk, she starts taking it out on her son who did nothing wrong and tries to kill him or blind him or something like that. At some point, she's going to reach her limit and be like, I'm not providing any value to my son. I'm a constant danger to the only person left who loves me. And it is just better off for me to not be there.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I do
I
completely
do
agree
feel
with
for
that.
her.
Yeah, like I completely agree with that. I completely like understand that really. Like it's not really like I understand why would she die? Why would she commit? Like I do get that. Like literally. It's more like okay, it's the repeated formula, you know? It's more like my
Yeah.
personal grip because you already We already have like a very questionable portrayal of women. We already have a very questionable portrayal of father, of mothers, of women in general. So this is like an, another thing to the pile.
Yeah.
Another thing of okay, the mother dies. The mother can handle it and she dies. I do have to say that it's really appreciated how the mom is really the center figure here. It's not the dad. Like the mom is not pushed away. The mom is not forgotten. The mom is why Kunichiga is the way he is why he's so adamant to protect Chiaki. You know? And
Yeah.
talking about Chiaki, it's a matter I know people like and say and it's like, oh how cute, how romantic. But I'm gonna be the evil guy here. I ship them. They're like my OTP. It's so cute and adorable. Like anybody who knows me knows this is like my OTP.
We know you love them. We know they're your head gem.
Yeah, exactly. Before anybody comes and screams at me.
But also, we expect you to be the evil one here.
Like we got the betrayal of Jackie coming. It is really cute, really wonderful. It really does expose how much Jackie cares and how Jackie it could just like give her a little character. How she was hesitating to enter or not that indecisiveness for 2 hours. I think it does wonders for her personality. In a chapter that is not about her. It's not about her in like in any sense. But it kind of just gives you a little bit of an eye on how Chiaki is like like it's like she moves and kind of feels this caretaker role. And it's a very similar role he has with Akemura. You know, she is the girlfriend, the crush, the lover, but she's also taking care of him. And she's the caretaker. She cooks, she cleans, basically the same thing she does in the Stoic Land house. And Kunishige is the protector. It is because of trauma, but that doesn't delete the dynamic that exists here. You know, it's kind of like okay, the spot that mom left, the mom I couldn't protect, the mom that died because of me. Now because of Chiaki existing and Chiaki taking that same spot and being that caretaker type of lover, Kunishige can just fix this mistake. Like protect her like he did to his mom. And then you
Yeah.
think about Chihiro and how Chihiro is also kind of like having a similar spot. How he cooks, he cleans, and you just have to like sit down and look back a little bit. The sort of dynamic that that marriage will have, realistically talking.
Kunishige was willing to risk being blown to literal atoms by uh, this entire experiment going on in the previous chapter for no other purpose than out of love for Chiaki.
Yes.
The Kunishige is so depressed, but also so self-sacrificial. Like Chihiro really is their son, bro. He really is Kunishige
I
and
will
Chiaki's
not,
son.
the thing is like I will not say it's like self-sacrificial. I will say it's more hatred here.
It is self-hatred. I mean, self-sacrifice can exist without self-love.
Yeah.
Although at that case, I don't think Kunishige would consider it a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's the
It's
thing. It,
more
like
suicidal.
it is like I think it's like interesting here is like how the sacrifice here differs with Kunichi, how it differs with Chiaki. Because of the role Chiaki has like taken in the Soga clan as a sister that ended up projecting and falling her into romantic love, romantic bonds, which is like the self-sacrificing, the caretaker, the ones who protect you. Like any of some manifesting both similarly in Nakamura and Kunishige, like, okay, you protect me, you caretake of me. I need to protect you back. That's the sort of dynamic that we have here. And it makes sense why Nakamura and Kunishige bond the way they do. But the thing I want to highlight here is how it differs for Kunishige and for Chiaki. I'm going to bring Chiba here. I know you want Chiba dead. I know this, but hear me out. Chiaki mentions that she is doing it for Kunishige, but Chiaki also blames herself for the Irishima talks. So it's a self-deprecation in the sense that she's doing it for Akemura. She's doing it for her mom. She's doing it for Kunichi. She's doing it for Chiba, for the Chiba that she failed to protect. So because she has this very big caretaker role of taking care of people, he absorbs the fact that every failure that has been happening so far, she kind of just looks like absorbs it and it projects into her through sacrificing. Kunishiki, on the other hand, is more like everybody's like friends with him. Everybody is like your friend and I think that the fact that he's afraid to hurt them kind of just like reflect in I'm not going to say indifference. I'm going to say how the plays are mostly for Chiaki and for Chiaki itself. He's like, okay, I care about you, and you are important to me. But it's so centered on Chiaki. Like it's this very centered self-sacrifice for Chiaki and Chiaki only. You know, and it's again very it comes from the trauma. And I think it's really interesting how we differ from both of them. Like Chiaki just absorbs everybody's um how if someone dies or if someone gets hurt, Chiaki just absorbs it and take it as hers. While Kunishige on the other hand, is more like very focused on Chiaki because of what Chiaki represents for him. Chiaki is like represents like the mistakes the mistake he needs to fix. What he failed to do. And I think that's like it's really good, really but I really like it. And the contrast you can see that a lot with Chihiro. Both cases really.
You cut out for a
Bingle,
second.
you're
You cut
alive?
out when you were saying my name. Don't worry, everything else you said got
Okay, okay. I
recorded.
was like, oh, wait.
Um, I was like, looking back to the chapter and just looking at, like, different little parallels. I bookmarked some tweets on Twitter as well, but I'll get to that later. When it comes to Chiaki, I do kind of think this is setting up for what you were saying on Twitter before about Chiaki's happy ending not being, like, Kunishige's wife in a sense. Not that she doesn't want to be with Kunishige. I'm sure if you asked Chiaki herself, she would say, at least in this point in the story, yes, I want to be married to Kunishige. But I think it's the way in which she would be married to Kunishige. Obviously, the more politically motivated marriage, or even like just filling another role, being Kunishige Rokuhira's wife. I think it's pretty interesting how much there is a play on. Why am I so quiet on the Audacity? Hold on. Is that better? All right, that's better.
Yeah.
So I think that Kunishige as a character is kind of similar. I mean, you've mentioned Iori parallels, but I think it's just kind of a Hokuzono thing in general to
Mhm.
continually play around with this idea of different identities, where Chihiro is like as Kunishige Rokuhira's son, not as Chihiro Rokuhira, as Kunishige Rokuhira's son. This is what I have to do. Shiba is the guard dog of the Soga clan, and I'm sure that that's a major part of his identity. Azami basically solely identifies himself either through work or through serving Rokuhira and avenging him, which we see when Azami's fighting to avenge Kunishige, he is dead serious. And it's like all of his ability to feel pain turns off. But when he's like just doing his job, he's like a completely goofy guy. So seeing how much Yokozuna plays around with identities, I do believe that Chiaki's issue is not being with Kunishige so much as it is being quote unquote Kunishige Rokuhira's wife. But I
Yeah.
do believe that this all ties into the fact that Kunishige probably would put Chiaki on a pedestal and it would be like a paragon. Like she'd be like a moral paragon for him. I think that would be the biggest issue that
Yeah, but
their
yes.
relationship would face is because she is like his anchor, right? She is the sole reason that he
Mhm.
didn't end his life. And he places a lot on her. Again, shout out Sigmund Freud, but it's very concerning to see where their relationship would go because this is very like Romeo and Juliet esque, and to see just like how little both of them have come to value themselves. I'm very scared that when they're back together throughout the Seitei War, we're going to see a lot of codependence.
Oh god. I think we're like, I think that he's showing all these happy moments with them because when they go back together, we're going to see a lot of very uncomfortable and dooming. Like the dooming bell is sounding really, really strong right
Yeah, because
now.
they're gonna see each other again. But Kunishige is doing this first. I'm assuming he's still gonna go see her, but Kunishige is doing this just so that Chiaki might not have to get sold off. I think we've
I
already
think
said
that
this
he's
on the
probably going to
podcast.
get sold off. That's the thing.
What?
The thing is, like, I do think that's happening. I think that
Yeah.
what this is setting up right now is that Koenigsegg fail, quote unquote, fail because, you know, okay, there's no Datenseski. Okay, but like we cannot risk a war. Okay, there's no Datenseski. There's no Hiyuki. They are going to they're going to invade. So I do think that what's gonna happen is that in very Chiaki Soga nature, she's going to go herself there. She's going to accelerate the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because okay, Koenigsegg is not dead. Okay, but they're going to invade, and everybody's going to die. I don't think he's going to get herself to the island much faster. And I think that the moment this hits Koenigsegg's ears, I think this is where he connects with the Tatsunseki. Like he truly, truly gets to the bottom of it.
And he's gonna
Because
pray to it.
we see with the Icelanders how he's like how they are quietly begging to the stone, how they're so sacrificed. Kunishige being all happy and saying taming the gods is not the stone is not going to answer him. He's going to be on his knees begging on that stone. And the only way for that to happen is if Hiaki is actually there. If she's actually on that border of the island being given to the Mikaboshi, that's the only way. Because in his head, that means he failed, you know?
I think it's going to be a good proof of concept because right now they're processing the stone for forging. They're not actually forging it, right?
Mhm.
So he's going to
Yeah.
prove that
No,
you
they're
can
like melting.
process the stone.
It's yeah, it's like a 3-day process of melting the stone. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they're going to finish smelting the Datsenseki. They're going to prove that you can, in fact, stabilize it into a processed form. But Chiaki is still going to go. I think that's possible. I'm 50-50 on that. But I do believe that Kunishige and Chiaki are going to have a talk, and we're probably going. We're gonna get. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but I do get the feeling that they're not going to leave anything unsaid, because for all they know, this could be their last time seeing each other in their lifetimes. I do believe we will see them let everything out emotionally.
What were you were saying before I interrupted you?
About like parallels?
You remember? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, hold on. So shout out Selly. She pointed out some interesting stuff. I just bookmarked these tweets on Twitter, but she like quoted chapter 83. Shiba said that Chihiro was his guiding light, Kunishige's guiding light that illuminated a path forward. Shout out that panel for Loki almost putting tears in my eyes. And even Samura in chapter 109 states that Chihiro and Enten were not duds, and that they're a light that will shine on many, and compares that to how like the final sequence of Kunishige and Chiaki and this almost like film esque last set of pages. The imagery of light is being used in the darkness, and we see that it's Chiaki who is with him and being his guiding light. And I think it's rather ironic considering that her name literally means 1,000 lights. Chiaki, the Aki means
Mhm.
light. So rather ironic. And of course, Chihiro is his last connection to Chiaki in the days leading up to his death. So I think it makes sense that Chihiro just being there and being such a constant reminder of Chiaki in a positive sense would probably help, keep him from ending his ish. Because if Chihiro wasn't around, Kunishige would have probably, boomed himself shortly after the war. And then she also mentioned how Kunishige talks about how most of the kids his age went to school. The gang he met after he lost his mom were like him, and they had stories of their own. So Kunishige, Shiba, Chiaki, and Azami all were not in school. And quoted Hirihiko, obviously her goat, where he's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of school? It's a cozy place where neither of us belong." I believe that's chapter 53 or 54. Yeah, it's very there's a lot of parallels here, and I think the usage of school as a location for the normal person that obviously none of those four were, as well as the fact that Chiaki really was his light that kept him going. It really does kind of contextualize just how different Kunishige is, and they're just little bits, but it shows Hokuzono. We never doubted his writing. Well, most of us didn't, but you know. And Farron, this is another tweet I bookmarked. Farron said, "Do you think Kunishige grew out his well, not, it's more like a goatee than a beard, but his beard and not a mustache to look less like his old man? Considering that Kunishige's dad had a mustache and not a goatee, Kunishige has a goatee and not a mustache."
Why a goatee? That goatee is so ugly. He couldn't grow a bird or something. Why a
Yeah, why,
goatee?
like, a beard would make sense, but he just got, like, that goofy ass goatee. Whatever. I think it's
It looks
possible.
like a,
I think it's wholly possible considering how much he's internalized the hatred of his mom or the hatred of his father from his mom, and also, like, the
like his
Band-Aids on
goatee
his
looks like a
face.
fork.
It
He
does look
looks
like
like
a
a
fork.
fork.
It does look like a fork. It looks
What
like a
does he
fork,
look
yeah.
like that?
It does look like a fork. It's goofy, but like, hey, Kunishige is goofy. Also, we already pointed this out before we started recording, but the band-aids on Kunishige's face, in that one panel, look like they're covering the same spot as Chihiro's scar. It's it's the page where he finds his mom's corpse. This
Yeah.
kid's life is horrible,
Uh,
bro.
yes, from my own. For me, who does not like Kunishige, this is like hell. Because, well, I had to feel bad now. Um, I still don't like him. I still think, I still think he was like not a good father for Kunishige. For Chihiro. Like both can both things can coexist, and that doesn't mean I am not going to slander him. I will keep slandering him. But it's like gives us like what I was missing for Kunishi's character. Kunishi's character was like, okay, here, make this work. Hey, I'm so talented. Whatever, blah, blah. Come on. And I was like, okay, you are not telling me why he would go that way. What is the difference between the Kunishige that was sending letters, that just stay sending letters and did not pick up a job to become like a good swordsmith and look for Shiaki, why he had to go to this extreme. Why he had to go to this extreme for him to go, okay, let me go and make a sword that goes against my morals. But now it kind of makes sense. I do appreciate it. Um, I do think this should have been before, but I do think it was missing for Kunishi's character to like for his character to like think in for me to have like a proper way to kind of just analyze him. But that doesn't erase that he planned to fight Chihiro. That that Chihiro had to mature more faster than the average child, and that he was kept in the dark for way too long. His trauma as a child does not work as an excuse. It's a justification that makes sense. He still faced Chihiro. And I do not want to hear people going, oh, that like excusing him because like there is a separation between your trauma, your experience, and then how you give it to your child, how it translates into your way you parent a child. And while they're interlinked, they do not work as excuses, you know? And so I've like I never in my life ever thought that he would have mommy issues. Like never in my life I would have seen that.
He also got daddy issues, bro. He got every issue.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah.
I mean,
Everybody does
this is
though.
the
Okay,
daddy
like
issues
everybody
manga
does.
though. Like he don't stand out for that.
Okay, but
But yeah,
like
no. Mommy issues.
centerpiece is the mom. The centerpiece is the mom.
Yeah. Like I think if Kunishige's mom locked in, well, not like she could have locked in, but you know what I mean. Like hypothetically, if Kunishige's
Yeah,
mom was able to be better and not be blind, I feel like Kunishige would have been a much less messed up kid. Like I feel like most of the
yeah.
dysfunction and the depression comes from his mom.
Yep, exactly.
Also, interesting to note is that Kunishige's dad was proud that his eyes were redder. Chihiro's eyes are like significantly redder than
Yeah.
Kunishige's. So I think this could tie back into 112 a little bit because the redder the eyes, the better suited you are to be a blacksmith. And not only are Chihiro's eyes good for combat, they're also good for blacksmithing. So I think that we might see Chihiro end up mastering making enchanted blades on his own far quicker than Kunishige ever did because he has better eyes. And again, exposing his eyes to fire will make his eyes better, which will then in turn make his eyes better suited for combat. I need my
This
son back,
means
bro.
that we yes, this means we need to like pull Sasaku out and like start putting fire. No
Literally just put
offense.
Suzaku on
Like,
his eyes.
yeah,
Just douse his eyes in Suzaku like 24/7, bro. He'll be fine. He be aight.
you'll be fine.
He be aight. He be aight. He'll be fine. Bro, it
I'm thinking about Nakamura. I'm thinking about this Koichige Nakamura bond and I'm scared. I'm scared because you think back and you think Kunichige didn't go his way to make friends. Like Chiaki needed to go to him to make sure he was fine. Okay,
Shiba and
food is
Azami are
used like
useless.
that is not new.
Yeah. I mean, you saw me crashing out about how useless Shiba is for Kunoshige. Like, I genuinely want this guy dead. It's not a joke. I want
He
him
will
dead.
make it. Don't worry. He will make it. Don't worry. Um, the fact that a guy like Kunichige that did not want that really isolated himself for 2 weeks befriended Akimura to such to such a degree that is his biggest ally in less than a year. Like there is a clock ticking. This is going to get very psychology, but again, I do think that Akimura and Kunishige befriended because of Chiaki. Like it had to get to the point where Kunishige heard that Chiaki had a little brother that was growing the sword, and he got a brilliant idea. The most brilliant idea of his life. Because he didn't go out of his way to befriend people. Like, he isolated himself. But he one day had to seek Akemura. Akemura is a kid that is shy. That is Akemura is like not a person that will seek someone either. To like befriend like they had to be trauma bound then. They got the trauma bound or something along those lines. Like losing checking may have been like the reason they trauma bounded really.
Yeah. I think we're going to see Akimura sort of, while Chiaki's gone, almost use Kunishige as a surrogate Chiaki.
Why can no one on this family be normal?
I think we're going to see him like Loki mentally put Chiaki's face over Kunishige. I think it's gonna happen. And he's gonna go to Kunishige for a sword. Like just a normal sword before the Enchanted Blade project. And he's gonna basically get on his knees when the Seitei War starts and beg like his life depends on it for that Magatsumi. Well, not specifically it, but you know what I mean. Like we're going to see this guy desperately seek out Kunishige, and yeah, it's bro, no one in the whole family's messed up, bro. Whole family's messed up.
Anakimura dooming bell. this kind of just like pushes the fact that Akimura is the reason why they just don't make it.
No one can be
Like,
happy in Kagurabachi, bro.
the thing is that Chiaki wants to protect others, and Chiaki Kimura wants, and Nishige Nakamura wants to protect Chiaki. But the thing is that Akemura becoming what he becomes because of Kunishige quite literally means that he failed to protect Akemura to her because she has the mentality that she has to do it because she is the older sister. Again, is where is the dad? Where is the father? Where is he? Where is the dad? Like I have been saying multiple times that similarly to how Rishige's mommy issues, the lack of a mother, well, the way he loves his mom is so central for his character. I do think that Chiaki not having a dad around, or there not having no male figure in a misogynistic clan is quite literally the centerpiece of why she is the way she is. Really. And it's like it gets to the point that I do think they're enabling each other. You know, that Konichige, like Chiaki has this desire to protect of being the caretaker. But deep down, for a lot of elder sisters, like in tropes in fiction or the elder sister in TikTok, they all say that they want to be protected because they have been forced their entire life to protect others, to take care of others. They want to be protected as well. That internalized desire is going to does come out with Kunishiga. And then that internalized desire of Koenigsegg to want to be caretaken of, to have that maternal um figure that he lost. That is again very common in men that have no mothers of the lack of a mother is very apparent. That internalized is going to come out and it's going to mesh and it's going to be a mess because they are enabling that each other, you know. And when Chihiro get like when we get the conversation between Jake and Kunishige about Jackie being pregnant, it's going to get extremely, extremely ugly, and it's probably going to be the best character work Okasune is going to make. I think that. Like personally, I think that. Like they're quite nailing each other. It's kind of sick.
I am. I don't think I'm ready for where this flashback's gonna go next chapter, bro. Next chapter, it's gonna be terrifying. I think every single use of like all black splash pages has in some way, shape, or form been in relation to Kunishige's love for Chiaki this arc. Like this guy is going to move heaven and earth for her. And I really do believe, like going back to 125, again, 125 crumbs of discussion here. Can my website load? There we go. Uh I do believe that prayer will be part of it, and they paid an immense toll, right? It's very likely that the Mikaboshi did. Whether or not this is true or not, I think it's fairly likely that the Mikaboshi did use human sacrifices to get their prayer answered. But if you have to sacrifice something to this rock, I think Kunishige sacrificed his own fate. Like I think Kunishige sacrificed a happy future with Chiaki.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think this is going to be the plot. Yeah, I think this is where things are going.
I think,
Because
yeah,
because
this is this is a
there is
rock that
something very much there is something very much in the eye in how Kunichiga blames himself in how his mother turned it out. This is not going to disappear with Yagi. Like, I need people to look in and understand that this is like a red herring, groundwork. Konoshige is I'm not going to say Konoshige loves Chihiro more than he loves Chiaki. I think he loves him equally. And precisely because he loves him equally, if it comes to it, I think he will 100% risk that happy, perfect family that he wanted, that he seek to protect, just for the sake of the two of them being safe. Because again, it all comes down to him. Like I 100% see the scenario when it comes to the point that Konoshige is blaming himself for any sort of a scenario that happens with Chiaki. If she dies, if she goes crazy, if she gets burst back to depression, if she becomes his mom 2.0, every single scenario he's gonna blame himself for it. Because in his mind, like very internalized, he hates himself to the point that he's gonna say Chiaki being an all-time low, and he's going to blame himself. Like I can already see it. And because he loves Chihiro to such a degree, and because he loves Chiaki, and he's going to say, okay, that she's like this because of me, because I gave Akimura the blade, because I impregnated her. You know, um, I do think that it's gonna be I'm going to become a dad. I'm going to rise to this fire alone. I'm going to lay myself, and I'm going to rob myself of a life. I'm going to rob my son of a life, and I'm going to leave her alone, and I'm going to let her free because I exist, because I am Kunishiga Rokuhira, because I have these eyes. Like that's what I see. Personally talking.
I
Then go.
I I've begun to sort of perceive the Datsenseki as conscious, which we've already kind of gotten from the lore in 112
Mhm.
and also from chapter 31. And so because of that, I think when they talk about this rock being a god, I don't think they're lying. I think that this otherworldly power does, and Kunishiga did mention the true realms are something that an unforeseen power is influencing. And obviously the black state is the black state. I think that there is a force in Orchestrator. I don't think Hokuzono is going to elaborate on this in the sense of it being an antagonist. I think it is a neutral force, but I think there is a supernatural force, a deity-like being that is tied to this rock and will help anyone who offers prayers and sacrifice to it. And I think that the power
Oh
of
yeah.
these rocks is powerful enough to manipulate and influence fate itself, which is why Chiaki's prophecies might not come to pass. I don't believe Chiaki's prophecies are absolute because I don't believe that her prophecies, or I believe her prophecies are going to be subject to change based on the whims of those who can control this rock. I think that's the
This
case.
kind of like ties a lot with 125 of how Konoshige is like, oh well, I just need to be better. I just need to find a loophole. And it's like, hmm, you're playing with fate. You're also going against her wishes, which is I understand why now. Like I get it. I got it with 125. I do get it even much more now. But again, once this girl is having the worst time of her life, and you're just making it worse. Is the thing. Like that's the thing that gets me because in this chapter he goes, "Oh, I am afraid of hurting her." And in the process of him wanting to protect her, he is hurting her because of the prophecies and the dreams. Oh, and he's like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's a lot. But I do think that maybe they're going to play a role here of fate. I also think Check is at that bit. Sorry. I'm sorry. I think it, I think it's kind of like telling me that I think that she's telling me. I think the mother, like this specific backstory, just kind of tells me that she left on her own. Specifically, I think Kunichi can let her go. You know, I think her fate changes a lot with this. Really,
Oh my gosh, bro. Hokazono, was this why you took your break? Was it just for the sake of making sure that Chiaki and Kunishige's relationship was ironed out? Like this storyline needed a month to properly take some time to plan out. Was that it?
yeah.
Dog. The Seitei War is gonna be long, bro. People saying, "Oh, the Seitei War is gonna be 30 chapters. Seitei War is gonna be 40 chapters." We're gonna be here a while. We're gonna be here a while, yo. Seitei War is gonna be like 60 chapters. We're gonna be here for a
Mhm.
minute. And because we are still in the pre-war stuff. And we are what, 113 to 125? We're like, or 126, we're like what, 13 chapters in? No. No, 113 to 126. Yes, that'd be 23 chapters. No, I'm stupid. It's 13 chapters. It's 13 chapters. It's 13 chapters. That is 13 chapters, and we are already still nowhere near the kickoff of the war. And I'm gonna be told with a straight face that we got 17 chapters left? No. No. We're gonna be here a while. I am I am just floored, Hokazono. You do not fail to disappoint. Um, Chiaki, based on this direction, I think Chiaki could be like top 3 characters in the manga, writing wise.
She better be. She better. Like, no, she better. Like, if anything, I do hope that is like his best female character. I can have Iori third, second, fourth, whatever. I want her to be one. And the thing is that he excels essentially in like making romantic bonds and familial bonds, and I think we're gonna see very good things for her in that regard. Oh, about that, something that the chapter says is that Kunichiga says that the four of them are like lonely, and can he relate to these kids? And so I was sitting back, like kind of just like thinking this and like, okay, Asami was kicked off his house. Chiba is obviously going to be something terrible. Kunichiga this, and I think about Chiaki, and I think, okay, Chiaki look at happy in the Soga clan. Well, not happy, but I do not see that aura of loneliness in the way she expresses herself in the flashback of her before she was a princess. So I'm like thinking, was she a not dunkling? Is there something about her personality, her wishes, her desires that just did not fit in the Soga clan's picture perfect woman, and that the Princess Soga ended up failing at the end? I'm thinking of that, and that's being stuck to me. Because, for example, Akemura was also not fitting in with the boys. So Chiaki kind of just like took her burden for herself. But Chiaki does have her burden in the Clan. So I'm just like really curious of what it is exactly. Why is she so lonely that she seeks people outside? I'm so curious now.
Honestly, I think it's just that within the Soga clan, like how many kids are really her age besides like Akimura? I don't think that many. And Akimura didn't really seem to be one for playing outside or going on adventures. So, but she was lonely, which
I mean, I do get that, yes. But I think it's less that, but I think Nigeria like kind of like highlight the fact that the four of them were lonely. And everybody has like very extreme circumstances. Like Kunichiga was an orphan, um, with an orphan with no parents and very traumatic past. Asami was his own. Like, well, I do think that. I mean, I really do. The Soul Clan is like massive. There's like so many. How many ranch families? There's probably a lot of ranch families. I really do doubt that there's like not a single child other than Chiaki Nakamura. I really do doubt that. But I think it's more so maybe that Chiaki herself feels that way. I already kind of just like highlighted when Chiaki in Chiaki's chapter 123. But Chiaki is a child that she's not like a very feminine typical girl. It's something that I think that is highlighted because she goes and she climbs trees. Um she probably likes books and all that. And it's like you think about Chiaki as a child, like as a woman in the Soga clan, and you think about the rest of the woman, I do think there is a discrepancy there, a juxtaposition. And I do think that her loneliness is not only like that she is alone in a literal sense, but also think that there may be like some lack of connection and understanding in the Soga clan that she ends up suppressing at the end. And that maybe Kunishiga was like a pathway to that. Like, that's what I think at the very least. I don't know. I also would love it kind of just gives a little bit more of depth in who is Chiaki Sora. Who is Chiaki Sora? Not the princess. But who is Chiaki?
I would love to get that answer, but it seems Hokuzono's saving that. I think we might get to see Chiaki unburdened by her status as princess during the Seitei War, maybe, because so much of the
Maybe.
focus will be towards the war, and Kunishige will get to step into the spotlight as the hero. And so Kunishige will now have his struggles that she's been enduring, which I think could lead into a conversation where Hokuzono can finally use those two to step to basically just look straight at the reader and say, we have issues with our identities because of our elevated positions forcing us to put up a specific front. We are not allowed to fully be our own people besides within closed doors. And sometimes that's not even allowed because the status that we have must be upheld at all times. And hopefully that will be enough to shut up the complaints. Hopefully. But
His
I think
mom looks
I
like a
think a lot of
Kimura.
our
What about
complaints
you?
basically break down to, "Oh, we need to just see more chapters."
Oh yeah, I agree. I think this chapter came in the exact moment we will having like conversations about Hokasono woman. Uh the timing of this is so odd. I think he's lurking or something. It's just
He
really odd.
has to have an alt, bro. He knows about the memes in this community. You know that, right? Like he is tapped in.
Yeah,
He knows.
yes, I know this.
He's the knower, bro.
Can you ignore that? I opened Twitter. I'm gone. Uh, I do have like hopes for the remaining chapters. Um, because I think that this Say They War arc, I could take everything I have said about Chiaki in this same podcast in the next couple of chapters, and I hope I do. But I think this gives me a little bit m- more of hope, really. And have this gives me a little bit more of hope on how he's going to write the woman going forward.
He knows how to write women.
You know,
That's the
he
most
just doesn't
important
do
thing.
it. Like he doesn't do it.
I think he
But oh
certainly
Lord,
could.
Hmm?
I think he could. It really is just a question of like, does he want to? Because
I think
I
the
feel like
issue is that a
women
lot of
are
the
an afterthought.
complexities a lot of these women have are very gendered. I think that's kind of like a problem.
Yeah. Like we haven't had
They're
a
very gendered.
woman who her gender is not attached to her character. Like
Yuki.
take most of the male characters. Okay, Hiyuki is like the only one.
Mhm.
Take most of the male cast, change them to women, and what really changes? Like, okay, someone like Hakari, for example. What changes if he's a girl?
Wait, who?
Hakari.
I think a lot changes, yeah.
Really?
So yeah.
Do you think Soya doesn't beat him if he's a girl? It looks like in the
No, but
Sazanami
I think
clan,
that
men and women
no,
are treated
because I do
differently
think
or the
no,
same.
okay, I do get that. But for example, I do think that thing changes because well, Soja sees woman as threat for Hakuri. So would Soja see men as a threat if Hakuri was a girl?
Probably.
Also, I think partly because like there's like the concept of the patriarch, like there is no woman that's going to become a leader. So like Henry is Soja's competition, but Hakui was never in this competition in the first place. And also, I don't know. I feel like something will change.
I think some things would
I
change, but
think.
in general, his character would primarily be the same. That's what I feel. Because like it's right within the Sazanami clan, the different obviously there's a patriarch, right? But there's not much of a difference in how either gender is treated. I think that the only proper difference in Soya's treatment is that part of why Soya sees Hakuri as useless and trash is that he's a man in the Sazanami clan who can't even use sorcery. I think that all men in the Sassanami clan are at least to some extent expected to be sorcerers. Now, women are expected to be sorcerers too. I mean, we see Tamaki's part of the toe, but I think in that case it's a little
Mm.
different because she is no threat to the favor that he could get from Kyoto. With Tenri, he's incredibly insecure because Tenri is taking all of his favor away. While he's still going to inherit the storehouse technique, he feels as if Tenri is taking away all of the favor that he could get from Kyoto. I think that might be like how Kyoto treats the sons obviously is more biased than how he treats his daughters. So I think to some extent that's part of why he likes beating on Hakuri because he views Hakuri as completely isolated from all this. Because at least if he was a woman, he could be sold off in some marriage. I can kind of see the argument there, but regardless, I think he would still probably find I think he would still probably treat Hakuri mostly the same. Let's use another character though. Like, I don't know, Azami. What changes if Azami's a girl or a
Oh,
woman?
nothing.
Yeah. Or Shiba. What changes if Shiba's a woman?
Nothing.
Yeah.
So far.
So far. For certain sword bearers, you can make an argument. For certain characters like Natsuki, obviously, he has to be a guy. But like
No, Natsuki's
most
character completely flips
yeah.
if he was a
For
woman.
most of
I
the
still do think Natsuki should be a woman. I think he should be a woman.
I think he worked I think it's fine with him as a younger brother, I won't lie.
No, I
But
do. Okay, I do think so, but I do think that what Hokusai wants to do with Natsuki, in comparison to Hokuto, for example, will have been much better. if she was a woman. And I think the relationship with Uruha would make even more interesting if she was a woman.
Mm, I can kind of see
I
your
mean,
point,
I think so.
but I don't know. To me, I feel like Natsuki being specifically a younger brother is pretty significant to his character. Regardless, a lot of
I mean,
like a lot of
I
the
don't say okay, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
oh
that it would change. And
oh
I
it would
think
change,
that
yes.
yeah, it will change. No, I'm saying that like this Natsuki being a man and a younger brother is good, it's important. But I think that if Natsuki would have been like a woman, like I think that the whole point regarding sportsmanship and in comparison to like Hokuto, for example,
There would
I
be
think would
more
have been completely
interesting
different.
like
It would have been less.
dynamics at play there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think if he was a woman, especially with that, I feel like it would kind of encroach on Kiri's very minimal character. So I can see why Hokozuna would avoid making Natsuki a woman. But like a lot of the male cast, okay, obviously like Chihiro, right? Chihiro, he has to be a guy. Uh
Yeah. I
Akimura
don't even
has
want
to
to
be a guy.
entertain I don't want to entertain Chihiro being a woman. I won't even entertain that.
Uh, who else? Samura has to be a guy. Uruha, I feel like
Yeah.
him being a guy is pretty important. But a lot of the cast, man, a lot of the like the less important male cast, you make them women and what changes? Not much. Not
I've
much
been
at all.
saying that if Yuri was a boy, the whole Samura backstory would have flipped. Would have been
So
completely
different.
different.
It'd be so different. Like
It
a lot
is
of the
it
yeah,
is
a
a
lot
character that exists because she's a woman.
yeah, a lot of characters, a lot of the female cast, they have to be women. Their character doesn't work if they're a man. It doesn't make sense. It breaks the story. With the exception of like Hiyuki. Hiyuki is the only
Yeah.
notable female character. I guess you could say Sumi as well, if you even want to call
Okay, the thing
Sumi a
is that
character.
Sumi is nothing.
Yeah,
Sumi is like
Sumi's not really a character, so I don't really want to count her.
no.
The Masumi are all just like one collective. The Masumi are just Ro. Let's be real. The Masumi are just Ro.
Ro and his friends.
Yeah. It's Ro and the Rolings, like let's be real. But with the exception of Hiyuki, the amount of actual characters of the female cast that you can just turn into a man and nothing changes are very minimal. And I think we need a few more characters that just so happen to be women and not women characters.
It's very sad, honestly. Because yeah, this is true. As unfortunate as it is. Yeah, I think it's like overall it's like a good chapter. It's like a very well done inside of Kunishige. And I'm already seeing a lot of very bleak takes from my own Discord tune. But yeah. What do you think, Bingo, about the chapter?
I think it's I don't know. For some reason this chapter just didn't hit me the way it hit everyone else. Um I wasn't sobbing my eyes out. I just felt really bad for Kunishige. Like, especially the page where he looks like Chihiro with the scar, the nine-year-old Kunishige where he sees his mom in the bathtub. Just the fact that all he can do is summon, like, a single tear to well up, I think that's what hurt the most. Like, for me, the fact that despite all of this, all he could do was just cry a single tear and stare all sulkingly at her corpse. Like, that, I think is the most subtle character piece for me of Kunishige that despite everything, he can barely even shed tears for his family or his
Yeah.
situation. Like he can't even bring himself to cry. But the the and also the constant symbolism of like water droplets across this chapter. You see it a couple times, the use of water droplets. Um and it makes me think of N10. Anyways, Kunishige also he really looked like Chihiro in some of these panels, bro. Uh, he, or I guess Chihiro looked like him. He, the fact that you don't see
Come on,
Kunishige's
sweet.
face in this sequence with Chiaki at all, um, like once she starts cooking him
Very
food,
dangerous.
you don't see his face, just like how his mom's face was obscured effectively this entire time, with the sole exception of like when she was turning into another one of Kunishige's dad. And like I didn't even catch this, but the fact that he starts like sobbing after getting a single bite of Chiaki's home cooked food. Oh my gosh, bro.
It's really sad. Like,
Like
I feel bad for him for a total of
you can feel bad
five
for
hours.
Kunishige. You can feel he can feel bad for Kunishige. The anime is gonna make this so
Okay,
much
I feel
worse. The anime is gonna make this so much worse. Oh
okay. I think
wait.
I'm gonna feel bad. Okay, I think I'm gonna feel bad when I hear it. Like,
When I have to see this animated,
oh
it's
shit.
it's gonna be like, oh my gosh. Did you watch the Gachiakta anime?
No.
They did Amo's backstory so much worse in the anime. Like,
Cool.
huh?
I'm gulping. The gulp.
Yeah, I'll send you the clip when we're done recording. This was so
Okay.
uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable to watch. I have a feeling we're gonna get like an elevation of that level. Obviously, Amos was well. It's like going trauma for trauma. I can't really do that, but Amos Amos trauma was one thing, but just seeing this in all of its visceral detail is just oh. I think it's really starting to get to me now that I'm going back and really analyzing just like how messed up this is. And the fact that Hokusono was able to fit Doom Posting and Hope Core in the same chapter. Oh my gosh. Hokusono. You're one of one. Hokusono's a one of one individual. But
Yeah.
yeah, that aside, I would rate this chapter probably like a 9 out of 10. I'm very sparse with my 10s. But this is like definitely a 9 out of 10. I'm sure with future context I might go back and give it a 10.
I'm going to say. Mm, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Yeah, 8.5.
Yeah, that's valid.
I think that's fine.
Oh my gosh, dude. Fuck. I'm so scared for next week. 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 I'm so
I
scared
feel
for
I'm going
next
to
week.
be scared. I'm not scared, but I should be scared because it's like a number 7 chapter. And well,
A number 7 chapter. Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. Oh no. Oh no. A number 7 chapter. Oh, we're so cooked. We're so cooked.
yeah.
Dog.
So now you have one chance.
Oh yeah, wait. I'm not gonna be in town next Sunday. Sorry. I'll be yeah, I'll be out of town next Sunday, so unfortunately we will have to do our podcast episode a little later next week. Probably like Monday.
It's
Does
very
that work?
sad, but don't worry, I'm gonna be tweeting. Please tune into my tweets. I'm going to tweet in Bingle's behalf.
Oh yeah. Please, please, please tune in to Leah's tweets. Again, that is at Iori
Oh,
Samura.
don't. Depends. Depends. Depends what happened.
No, I think you should like and retweet everything she tweets. I think the dictator
I
should be listened to at all times.
exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've run out of stuff to say for now. Or we're just gonna go in loops
Yeah.
going like just talking about how like terrified we are for next chapter. And by we I mean
Okay.
me. So I think that is it
Oh,
for
before
this
we go,
week's
before we go,
oh, oh.
before we go. Hopefully, no more Iori Samura nachos in this whole situation. Enough of them. Please, please. It's please. Thank you. Okay, you can finish now.
I think it's actually you just by mentioning in Yura Samura, you just reminded me again of the Hirahiko quote because Samura as Seiichi Samura's daughter didn't belong in school. Hmm.
Why
But
is she over
as
this?
Iori Yoshiura, she belonged in school. Hmm. Curious. Curious.
There is a veil zooming behind of me. I feel like that Danganronpa meme, where when the girl is like
Yeah, that
looking back.
execution
I feel like this.
with the freaking thick of it by KSI piano cover. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that one.
That's you. Bro, Iori next part. We gotta save that for another video. We're gonna talk about Iori Mune at some point. But that has to be like a bonus episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it is in fact time to wrap this up. So thank you guys so much for your patience and for tuning into another episode of Kyoto Talkshow Hotel. As again, I am your host Bingle and my co-host Leah. We both would like to wish you all an amazing week and good night, afternoon, morning, depending on when you're watching this. All of you, read Kagurabachi a billion times over. Give yourself an encyclopedic knowledge of this manga. It will help you in arguing with people on Twitter.com if you can just quote chapters. That's my advice of the week for you. And Kunishige Rokuhira, he's not that bad a guy, apparently. Well, we knew that, but you know. With all that said, all of you take care of yourselves and please have yourselves a damn good one. Take care and God bless.